Hi there. Again, a video from my kitchen, but I think that this time it's probably the most appropriate location since we're going to be talking a little bit about trying to prepare a traditional Thanksgiving meal in Russia. This is actually my second take. My first take, I had the thing aimed wrong, it chopped off, ended right at the top of my hair. I noticed my hair looked pretty bad, and it still does, but sorry, I'm not going to wear a hat. If I wear a hat, then you think I'm completely bald, so I'm just going to leave it the way it is. So, I know that my channel is about being an American in Russia, and that Thanksgiving is an American holiday, not a Russian holiday. Yet this holiday presents special challenges for an American living in Russia. So, I lived the first 45 years of my life in the United States, which means that I celebrated Thanksgiving every year. Like many Americans, Thanksgiving was and is still one of my top two favorite holidays, the other being Christmas. And I think it's those probably top two holidays for many people. Because remember, in America, we don't consider our birthday a holiday. Anyhow, I've celebrated Thanksgiving for all 20 years that I've been in Russia, which means my wife has also celebrated Thanksgiving for 20 years, and our daughters have celebrated it for the past 15 years. So we all enjoy this every year. The premise behind Thanksgiving is so clean and clear that it could be celebrated in any country and by all countries of the world. I mean, what is it about? It's about thanking God for the blessings we have received in the past year, and in a special way, being thankful for the people who surround us. It's not about waving any flag or about patriotism, but rather about being grateful. I think that's a winning holiday, in my opinion. Besides, not having to buy gifts along with the associated stress is also a huge plus. Let's look at a few Thanksgiving staples that either can't be found or are very difficult to find here in Russia, for me anyhow. First, let's talk about pumpkin pies. In the States, I would always see a few cans of pie filling in my mother's pantry. I'm sure if you're from America that you've seen them also. Now, the brand I remember seeing was called One Pie, and you're looking at those right now. I'm showing pumpkin and squash, which are both really interchangeable. There's no real difference, I think, in the taste between the pies. Now, I never really looked at what was in those cans because, well, that task belonged to my mother. But I know that here I must come up with it myself, whatever's in it. However, this does mean that my pies are fresher and more natural than the ones my mother would make using the can. Here I make pumpkin pie in the fall. Well, actually in the fall I can buy any one of a wide variety of pumpkins at either the farmer's market or even in the supermarket. You see here, I see a whole collection of different types of pumpkins and gourds, all kinds of nice things to make pies with rather. I cut the pumpkin into wedges, clean out the seeds and that stringy stuff. I put the wedges on a baking sheet and then bake them for about 45 minutes on about 200 degrees Celsius or about 425 degrees Fahrenheit. After baking, you can just kind of scrape the soft pumpkin off of the tough skin. I put it in a bowl and mash it with a potato masher. I measure out about 2 cups of mashed pumpkin, and this is how much is needed for one pie. Plus, I think it probably looks better than what you get in one of those cans. Now, I use my mother's recipe to make the pie, and here's the result. I love pumpkin pie, and my mouth is watering just looking at the photo. The next staple we'll talk about is cranberry sauce. Growing up, cranberry sauce could be found in a can at the supermarket. Again, cans. In the can was a big blob of jellied cranberry sauce. You'd open up both ends of the can, push out the big blob of gel, and put it on a plate, and you'd slice off a piece and put it on your plate near the turkey meat. The taste of it was really nothing special. I mean, it was okay, but I don't have clear taste memories of it, perhaps other than taste a little like metal since it was in a can. I don't know. But the inclusion of cranberry sauce, it was mandatory at Thanksgiving, and for God's sakes, it's Thanksgiving. But mandatory or not, this couldn't be found in Russia, at least not by me. So it fell to me to find out just how to make it from scratch, and that's just what I did. Here's what my homemade cranberry sauce looks like. In terms of taste, it's not at all boring. It's quite sour, but it's the kind of sour that keeps you coming back for more. My homemade sauce was made using fresh cranberries, sugar, orange juice, cinnamon, nutmeg, and orange zest. What exactly is orange zest? Well, it's finely ground orange peel. You can buy this dried out, but I made mine from the orange peels off of the oranges I made my orange juice from. I would make it freshly squeezed. After boiling my mixture until it starts to thicken, I take it off the heat, let it cool, then refrigerate it. Cranberry sauce is best served cold. Look, I filmed our trip to the Russian outdoor market to buy the cranberries. In Russia, they call these outdoor markets a rynek. I call it a not fun time and somewhere I dislike going. That's what I call it. I know that many of you in the States have a rosy picture of how nice and natural it must be to shop in these outdoor markets. Not me. Give me a huge supermarket, clean, warm, and well lit, and I'm happy. How much do we usually get? Like a 1.5 kilos or something? Get like a kilo and a half because you'll use them up.
60-50. Вот это Белоруссия. Вот это и вот это северная. Граница Архангельской, Вологодской области.
I want the northern Russia.
Давайте северный.
Сколько?
1,5.
1,5 килограмма?
Возьмите.
Что-то я не понял. Вы что подумали, что килограмм 50-60?
Нет, я сейчас... подождите, сколько купить надо решить. Мне много надо.
1.5.
А еще?
Yeah.
И один стакан сколько стоит?
1,60, 1,50.
Я все правильно поняла. И в килограмме сколько там стаканов?
8 стаканов.
It will be like 500 rubles.
6,8?
Okay, then 1 kilo.
Вот это килограмм, 400 рублей будет.
Нет, да я вспоминаю, какая-то ягода, как бы это... Качество ягоды вспоминаю. The northern one wasn't really good, we didn't like it.
Okay, then try the other one.
Давайте вот эту попробуем.
Вот эту?
Да, давайте килограмм.
Давай.
Извини, а готовишь какая-то, она там более густая получается, вот эта.
Вот из этой?
Да.
Это люди покупают лечиться. Это
Да
отлично.
понятно.
Хотите эту,
Мне надо,
пожалуйста.
чтобы пожиже было. Вот я знаю, что тюменская, она такая более
Пожалуйста,
водянистая.
Are those from Tumen?
Нет.
Ah,
говоришь?
I know those are, but the other ones, Northern Russia, is that Tyumen?
Аль, можно я на весах прикину? Пожалуйста.
Сколько получилось?
Это 400 рублей.
Спасибо.
Вот нека 70 рублей. Так, 3. Раз. И 3. Пожалуйста.
I suppose that for some old babushka, this is a nice day. I mean, a day at the Rynek. It gives them a chance to talk to each seller and complain. Many of them don't have anyone at home to talk to. I've got 3 others at home to talk to, so I'm good. Now let's talk about the star of the show, the turkey. 20 years ago in Russia, and really in a much bigger city than where I live now, turkey was poultry that very few had ever really tasted. It wasn't a turkey culture here. I was able to find one each of my first years on the outskirts of the city where farmers from the surrounding countryside would sell their products from the side of the road. They'd be on the side of the road with the produce from the farm. Each turkey I bought for the first several years weighed about 3 kilos or about 7 pounds. Pretty scrawny specimens. And most of that weight, I think, was bone. Actually, some of these, I think, were like work turkeys. I think they made up a little harness for them and had them pull little miniature plows because they were really tough old birds with no good meat on them. Now, the situation here is a lot better now, and there are even some stores that specialize in turkey products. But typically, this does not include whole turkeys. At an outdoor market here, you can usually find whole turkeys starting around the middle of December. Because remember, Thanksgiving is not a holiday here, and when people here buy a whole bird, it's for the New Year's meal. Now, if you're persistent enough, though, you can usually score a bird right about Thanksgiving time. I start looking about 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, and this year that paid off. I scored an 8-kilo turkey. That's almost 18 pounds at the Rynek. Well, not outdoors at the Rynek, but at the indoor portion, which is like permanent. Every day it's open. This took the stress off my holiday anyhow. They have some huge turkey farms in my region, although a lot of the output is exported to Europe. But as I already mentioned, Russians now do buy turkey parts at special stores here, and even at the supermarket. The legs they sell, good Lord, it looks like they came from a T-Rex. They're huge. I'd be scared of the bird that these legs came off of, and that bird, these legs are so big, that must be one fast bird. I'd be really scared. I really like Thanksgiving, and I'm happy that I celebrate it here in Russia. In Chelyabinsk, we had some Russians who we would invite over to our home for a real Thanksgiving dinner each year. I think it was interesting for them to actually participate in something they had only heard about previously. Here's sort of a postscript or PS I'm adding to the end of this video after the fact. If you are someone not from the U.S. and you're studying about Thanksgiving, something you may not learn about is how much most Americans love the stuffing. This is the stuff that's cooked in the bird. It could be bread stuffing and spices. It could be fruit, nuts, rice, and tons of other variations, even oyster filling. But whatever the variation that's put in there, it's usually one that the family really loves. And actually, it's my favorite food, I think, on Thanksgiving, and for many people it is. In my family, we would have a bread stuffing, bread with spices and some celery and onions, other things. So the box of spices that you're looking at now is the typical spice used by Americans who prepare bread stuffing. There's never enough stuffing. So that's another thing. The reason why I have it here is something else I can't buy in Russia. I could make up the different spices, but there's about 15 different spices, so you're into a big cost buying all of these different spices. And even then, I don't know the percentage. So I bring these back from the States when I go, and they last a long time. The boxes are small. One box will last me many years, 3-4 years. Now, traditionally, the way it usually works out is the person who carves the turkey, and carve means to slice the meat off the turkey. Well, that's usually the person who removes the stuffing from the bird. In my family growing up, that was me. This person has an unhindered access to vast amounts of stuffing before anyone else has seen it. So in my family, my mother would have my brother watch me carve the turkey, well, basically to guard me. Now, some ancient Roman once said, "Who will guard the guards?" Well, within minutes of him guarding me, we agreed to pound down that stuffing together. I'd take a spoonful, he'd take a spoonful. We'd go back and forth. So by the time the stuffing arrived for the rest of the family, it was greatly reduced. Now, these are the types of traditions that people remember. My brother guarding me and us deciding to go spoon for spoon. It was a tradition. Others might have a family football game on Thanksgiving, and others watch parades or watch college football on TV. There's no end to the different traditions. But in short, for Americans, Thanksgiving is much more than just a special meal. It's a special day that we form new memories and carry on old traditions with our family members. Well, that's the end of this video. Пока.